Toby, that was a tough 3 days. Where do you guys summarise that one?
Yeah, obviously, frustrating to have fallen short in 3 days there. I think, first innings with the ball, obviously Joshy, massively impressive, used the conditions well, bowled with good control, changed his pace, and yeah, certainly made life tricky. And I actually thought, probably 30 runs maybe more than we would have liked first innings, but I thought that actually gave us a little bit of a footing into the game if we could drum up a score in that first innings. And yeah, unfortunately, I think probably we can be pretty disappointed coming up as short as we did against Seam on that wicket. I think throughout the game our answers against a pretty good spin attack I think were pretty good, and I know the guys had sort of worked hard on getting sort of the tactical and the technical stuff right coming into this match. So yeah, frustrating to have fallen short and just giving ourselves far too much to do.
Because it's hard to evaluate it on the fourth innings, isn't it? So you kind of go back through it. Obviously the toss was massive. They'd have been desperate to win the toss and make sure Middlesex were batting last, but then that first opening wicket stand for them was huge as well.
Yeah, and they played well, and sometimes in these games it just takes a little bit of time for the conditions, I guess, to sort of kick in and to adjust, sort of with being a freshly prepared wicket, if you like. And yeah, certainly we definitely actually spoke enough times during that period where they were going on nicely, that opening stand, that once we got one it felt like we might be able to sort of crack it open and find some momentum, and I thought we did that nicely and hung in there during that tough time, and then sort of managed to really sort of make the most of conditions.
Having gone through them as you did, having got that first wicket in the first innings, that was always the danger, wasn't it, that they came out and did the same at the start, the Middlesex reply?
Yeah, and I think that certainly credit to them, they bowled nicely, but I think we'll be a little bit frustrated that we haven't been a bit more obdurate there and made life a bit more tricky for them. Obviously, they're sort of fighting at the top of the table for a reason, and they've got a good attack on all fronts. But at the same time, you've got to back yourselves, to find ways of, I guess, countering that and looking to be nice and positive on the flip side. So we probably fell short of that again, a bit frustrating, but 3 more games to try and get that balance right.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. How much of a fact you take in that Essex are at the top for a reason? They may well win the title this year. You don't go to Lancashire, who are a side who, all right, they've climbed up the table in this round, but they have been down there as well, not still away as well. Warwickshire. Put this one to one side and say, look, okay, Essex are a very, very good side. Don't take that with the team to Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean that certainly obviously is something, but at the same time you don't come here sort of, I guess, conceding defeat. And I think, as I mentioned, I think some of the solutions and some of the ways that we sort of fronted up against, a spin attack that's been pretty dominant here, I thought was particularly good, and also the way that Joshy then sort of asked questions himself, on the other side. Was excellent. I just think, there's a little bit in the middle there where we got outplayed. I think, the way that they managed to sort of knuckle down through tough periods and make life tricky for us to get a breakthrough, and we probably just didn't find enough of that ourselves on the other side of the coin.
What's key going into the final 3 games? It's 6 points ahead of Kent now, which is very tight, isn't it? Middlesex will hope, obviously, there's at least one victory in the final 3, which will just push you clear of Kent and make it a bit more comfortable. But going into those 3, what's key performance-wise?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with a mindset. Obviously we've got to go into each game confident that we can find, multiple ways of winning the game. And yeah, on the flip side, I think obviously as a batting unit we've probably been a little bit short of runs, and I think we showed at Warwickshire also how as a bowling unit we can also set up a game if we do, sort of do our jobs up top, make life a little bit easier for those guys coming in, restricting the runs. So I think, it's probably we're going to need a few guys to put their hands up, a few match-winning performances, but also for an 11 to start playing consistently well together, and try and have that, I guess, that full-on team performance, and hopefully that'll be enough to find whatever results are needed in those last 3 games.
And you'd have hoped there may have been a match-winning performance from an overseas coming in for this one, Yadav, but of course on the eve of the match he's unavailable. He will now be available for Lancashire, I believe. Everything's sorted with the visa, so at least you have a selection headache in that sense, especially after Josh's performance with the temper.
Yeah, absolutely, and look, I don't think we can look back on this and say that sort of affected the outcome of the game. Joshy's certainly performed, outstandingly well there, but obviously it's nice to have, I guess, that added depth and a little bit of added strength going into those final 3 games. Exciting to have him here, and I'm sure, it'd be nice to sort of catch up with him at Old Trafford, and look forward to seeing him there.
And last word for Josh then, because temper, it's a remarkable achievement in any circumstance, but obviously there are a lot of eyes on Harmer in this match. He's picked up a 5 in the second innings, 6 for the match, but 10 for Josh, bowling in the first innings of the game as well, picking up 8. That was an outstanding achievement.
Yeah, it was, and I think what's impressive is I guess for a young bowler, just being able to find those subtle variations. I think he's someone who likes to think about the game. Certainly from a captain's point of view, good to talk to. I think, you know, together we can always sort of, you know, have a decent two-way conversation, open to ideas, as well as being pretty confident in his own thoughts as well. So yeah, definitely I think the way that he's sort of adjusting and adapting to the different surfaces and almost taking on each different challenge that's come on game has been particularly impressive. So nice to see him sort of carry on making those strides, and you know, I guess the next 3 weeks he'll get 3 different challenges, and hopefully he can find different ways of rising to each, and obviously contributes nicely with the bat as well. So yeah, obviously delighted with sort of his progress so far, and hopefully continue some more.
Good luck at Old Trafford. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.